Tyvis, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you. This is the number one thing that we're seeing in the chat right now. It was the number one topic of conversation on the internet last night after the Nick Chubb injury. But you played safety in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know this better than anyone else, considering you actually did that and did what happened last night on the highest level, or played that position. You didn't ever cause a career potentially debilitating injury.
No.
Do you think it was a dirty hit? Like plain foremost simple?
No,
was it dirty?
no, it was not a dirty hit, and I know people are upset by that, and I get that it's Nick Chubb, and everybody's like, like he went low on Nick Chubb and blah 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 blah. But when I went back and I talked to Bull about this morning, and I looked at it again, like I really sat there in detail and I looked at it. When first of all, Minkah Fitzpatrick is not a dirty player, so let's get that out there. He's never been accused of being dirty or anything like that.
In my memory, and Bull will know because it was against the Bengals, I remember, and maybe I'm misremembering, it wasn't Minkah, somebody on the Steelers defense, and I could have swore it was Fitzpatrick, had 2 helmet-to-helmet hits against the Bengals in one of their games last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I should know, but it's not coming to me.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie.
I meant to ask you because I can't say definitively, but by my memory, I thought that
you may be right. I don't remember.
In one game.
Well, I thought it was dirty, just like a lot of fans did at first reaction. But after talking to Tyvis, and I talked to Dustin and Tyvis this morning, I changed my mind.
I wonder if it's a defensive offensive thing. I texted a lot of guys yesterday that either are playing or most of them are former players. And there was a bit of a trend where nobody was going to come flat out and say it was intentional.
No, look at that. Right there. He's throwing at
No, that's not the freeze.
This is right. This is he's throwing himself at a thigh right now. Would you say that?
I would say that he is
throwing through it to the thigh.
for the lower body.
Okay. Well, first of all, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Nick Chubb, ain't no DB going up head up with Nick Chubb.
Better not, because low man wins.
My point exactly. So when he threw himself, his initial throw was at his thigh.
The freeze frame that I have a problem with was the one where the helmet is buried directly in the knee. That's the one that I didn't love.
He didn't know. I don't even think that's what it was.
Someone sent it to me. Someone froze it in that moment.
I thought it was his butt that hit.
That's what I'm saying. I thought it was his back that hit.
Here's what he said. The helmet is a protective device, not an instrument for delivering punishment.
His helmet never made contact. See that? His helmet never makes contact. It's his arm and butt and his back.
Oh, I can't almost.
It's so hard to look at.
Yeah, it is.
He kind of, what he did.
But you see how he's thrown.
He rolled up on him.
Yeah, he threw it, and that's what you do.
He hit and rolled.
Yeah, because if you hit a leg, you're trying to shoot the leg from under him, and if you miss, if you roll, it'll at least sweep his leg from under.
Have you guys ever seen an injury where the network refused to show the replay?
Did they show the Theismann? Remember Theismann?
Over and over again.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody cared back in those days.
It was brutal. But back then, hits were celebrated.
Yeah, right.
To answer the question,
that was still the most gruesome one I've ever seen.
You did agree that it was a little reckless.
It might have been reckless. It might have been a little reckless,
and
but
a step from reckless to
understand.
Yeah, there's all kinds of layers to it.
Yeah.
Intentional, I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it was intentional. But most of the guys, it's funny, the offensive guys, not all of them, if there was a trend, the offensive guys did not like the hit. They didn't like it.
Defensive
but the defensive guys, oddly enough, were like, no, that was good.
That's what you got. It's a running back. It's Nick Chubb. You got to go low. So, I mean, to me, when I seen it, I'm like, oh, okay, he was throwing to go throw at his thigh. The problem was he flew and his trajectory went down, and Nick Chubb planted that leg. And usually when you do that, the leg just gets swept from up under him, but it was
planted.
Yeah,
there was nowhere for it to go but backwards.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I don't like about the whole thing was that he rolled up over him. Because it's one thing to hit the player low to try to bring him down, but there was an absolute intentional. After the hit, he rolled over.
Well, I think that's a common thing, because if you don't wrap up, if you throw yourself. Not these running backs, they'll just bounce off. Like it'll boom and bounce off. But if you roll, it'll roll their leg and they'll fall over you. That's the thing. I hate to say it like that. But that's what it is.
I wasn't there. I texted with 2 people that were this morning, and they both said, they're both Browns fans, they both said the same thing. Steeler fans, for the most part, they heard people saying things around them, but it was drowned out by the overwhelming chant for Chubb.
That was classy.
Very classy. Yeah. And I want to give Steelers fans some credit. Steelers fans, oddly enough, will always have a special place in my heart, because when the last game, happened between the Steelers and the Browns at Three Rivers, Steelers fans stood up and gave the Browns a standing ovation after the game as they were leaving the field. They knew that the Browns-Steelers rivalry, for all intents and purposes, was gone. There was no indication at that point that the Browns were ever going to come back.
Was Rooney one of the two that voted against the move?
I think he was. I think I'd heard something similar to that
Mike
before.
Brown or no?
I think you might be right on that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But I just remember that I, ever since that day, I've just thought, you know what? Steelers fans get it.
They get it.
And I thought the way they were chanting Chubb, I thought that was pretty special. And they even commented on the broadcast last night.
Yeah.
It was a classy act by Steelers.
By the way, on an unrelated note, real quick before we get back, because I know you want to talk about running back options. How about, I think we may have mentioned the stat itself, but not that it was a record. Once again, the Browns are part of a dubious record, guys.
Yeah, I heard this.
Record.
The Steelers.
Is it the one for their offensive production and the win?
Fewest yards gained in the fourth quarter by a team that overcame a deficit in this century.
Yeah.
This century.
Which I don't know that the NFL existed as over 100 years ago.
The Steelers had negative 7 yards of offense in the fourth quarter and came back to win.
And Bull, the NFL wasn't called the NFL 100 years ago.
No, well, I don't know if it says this century, so I'm thinking, we just started a new century, right?
Oh, okay. So in
21
years, 23 years.
24, right? Does 2000 count as last century or this?
It does.
I mean,
oh my God. I mean, think about it. When you have minus 7 yards in the quarter,
you should get wiped.
You usually got to win on a defensive score.
What was the Browns? Do you know that? Did they have
I don't have that handy,
What do you mean, what was the Browns?
In the fourth quarter, how many yards did they get?
It was Dan Rooney, but it was not Mike Brown. Ralph Wilson was the other one.
Oh, Ralph Wilson.
Yeah.
That's typical.
Bad job, Mike Brown. You should have.
Yeah, why would he vote for it?
That's a terrible job by him.
At the end of the day.
Actually.
Let's.
Do you want to wait? I want Bull to give that number that Steve sent the chat. The Tennessee pass defense number. Just before we go to running backs.
And we have that coming up. But real quick, with Chubb being out, and let's just assume it's for the season. Kevin Stefanski speaks at 12:30 today.
Let's
and
assume.
I'm sure he'll officially
we don't need to
confirm
assume.
that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do the Browns need to bring in another running back option? And if so, who? Or are you guys comfortable rolling with Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong?
Well, you definitely got to have 3 on the roster. So let's get that situated right then and there. So they definitely have to bring in the guy. Obviously, the favorite names right now is Kareem Hunt. I think Jonathan Taylor is obviously one. Cam Akers. But to me, I think that if you're going to bring in a running back, I would bring in a guy because as crazy as this sounds, I'm decently comfortable with Jerome Ford because I think he brings the speed element.
I love Jerome Ford.
He brings the speed element. He can catch the ball out the backfield. If number 4 is going to be the one doing everything, you need a pass catcher out the backfield, but you also need a guy that can run between tackles. And I think Jerome Ford showed that he can do that, and he got that long speed. I would bring in a guy that can get things done on the short yard and the goal line situations.
So bigger back.
Yeah, because I think that's what we lack.
So
Pierre Armstrong is all right, but he definitely got stoned on his first carry.
Yes,
he got stoned on the one.
Now,
So
would you call Kareem Hunt today?
Yeah, I give him a call. I mean, that's why Kareem Hunt played it smart. He knew that some running backs get injured every year. He knew if I did not sign right now, somebody's going down. I'm gonna get more money. He would obviously be the best option because he knows the system. He knows.
And I think the fans would cheer that.
Yeah, they definitely cheer him. He's a hometown kid.
Yeah.
But I mean, Fournette. I take Fournette for the short yardage gun.
Fournette's out of gas.
I think the only thing about Hunt is that we did hear some things that it didn't end well between the Browns and him. And maybe they don't want him in the locker room. I don't know.
You still need a dog.
I think in the end...
You need a dog for the short yardage
I think they're going to bring in an option now who may not be sexy and see what they got in Jerome Ford. Yeah. And if Watson plays better, where you feel like maybe you're a legit contender again because he's playing like a real quarterback, then you get more aggressive.
You go all in for Taylor maybe at that point.
Or could they trade for Cam Akers of the Rams? Rams have essentially given up on him.
If you trade for Jonathan Taylor, you have to give him a contract. And I guess with Chubb being out, if he never plays again, you will need a running back for the long run. And Jonathan Taylor is pretty proven, so that's an option. The Cam Akers thing, he just never materialized.
Isn't there character issues with him?
It's something.
Something's going on
because I feel like he was supposed to get traded last year, and he did.
This happened last year and again this year. They're pushing him out. There's clearly a problem with him in the locker room. So that's something.
But when you look at it,
Steve sent to the chat, and this is an interesting.
Trey Sermon.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, listen.
He had some moments with the Buckeyes, but he hasn't done anything in the NFL, has he? Who's he with? The Eagles?
He was with the Eagles. He got drafted by San
Trey
Francisco.
Sermon?
Yeah,
and
he's
then,
done anything in the NFL.
No, he got drafted by San Francisco, and then he went to the Eagles last year. He's still not that. I don't think he's that in between the tackles type of guy that can get the short yardage. Is he?
I don't think so either.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I think Jerome Ford is cool enough to get a lot of things done. It's just the short yardage and the 4th and 1s and the 3rd and 1s.
That's where you worry.
Yeah. I need somebody.
And that's where they're going to find out just how good Nick Chubb was.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Chubb.
For anybody that didn't know.
No, you're going to find out how good Nick Chubb was because it was a lot of times that he was supposed to get tackled in the backfield and he still made something happen. He still averaged and found gashes, and he put the fear of God in a lot of defenders. And that's the one thing that scares me now. As a defensive coordinator, listen, I ain't up late no more. I ain't got to work.
Yeah.
Who do we fear? Who do you fear on the Browns offense right now? Nobody. Nick Chubb was the only guy that I was like, all right, he's a problem. He can win them this game single-handedly. Now that he's gone, listen, we got a game plan. Get after Deshaun Watson. The tackles ain't good, so let's get a good pass rush. Let's maybe put a bracket on Amari Cooper because he's the only guy that's a problem. Other guys, if they got to prove me something, they got to win one-on-one coverage. I'm still waiting on DPJ, and for you to have a contract season and you ain't putting up no numbers and you letting punts go like that on a contract year, man, you ain't trying to get paid.
What was he? Why
you ain't trying to get paid. I can't believe that you was doing what you was doing.
Why did he let the punt go? He was under it at the 30-yard line, and he moved at the last second, and the ball went to the 5.
So typically, when you're a punt returner, they tell you to put your heels on either the 10, the 8-yard line, 8 or 10-yard line. If the ball goes over your head,
he was at the 30
let it go.
on this one.
I don't know what he was doing.
He was underneath it. He got one job.
Don't know what he was doing.
Catch the ball. He ran out of the path of the ball. The ball hit, took a bounce, and they got it inside the 5.
You got to have somebody else do that job.
He's not it.
You can't have him.
Like I said, dude, typically for every punt returner that I've ever...
Marquise Goodwin could return punts.
No.
Why?
No. I don't think he's...
He's got the linear speed you want.
That's fine, but it's a lot to... The initial thing is catching the punt. No.
He never did it.
No.
Yeah, I don't want a guy that's never done it.
What options do they have?
I don't know. I don't know what the options.
You might have to. They might have to work out some guys this week.
I don't know who they got.
You can't let 2 punts roll inside the 5-yard line.
He's. You know what? I'm going to generalize here. The talent that this regime has brought in, way more misses than hits. Way more.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I gave Andrew Berry, I think, a C when we talked about it before. I'm still going to stick with that for now.
Specifically, look at the wide receivers that they've drafted.
Well, drafted, yeah. I mean, so far.
Yeah, when I said brought in, I'm speaking specifically.
I still think as a wide receiver, DPJ has been good value as a 6th-round pick. I mean, he was a 6th-round pick.
He's serviceable.
I mean, how many 6th-round?
But they've had 2 third-round picks that everybody in the league is scratching their head at.
Right. But David Bell actually played a decent game yesterday.
He did. He threw a couple of nice blocks.
Tillman hasn't done anything yet.
Tillman is on a milk carton.
That's true. And
no, he is. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, we haven't seen that much. I have not been that impressed by the great Elijah Moore so far for 2 games.
I've seen moments, but not enough.
But
it's 2 games.
Crazy to me.
It's 2 games.
They had all these packages, all this running back stuff.
Yeah.
He was. And then we seen that him going against Denzel Ward and in training camp, beating him on routes and. Man, I mean, he's getting targeted, 9 targets, but 3 catches. That's not going to get it done.